schlocky horror franchise which succeeded in making audiences terrified of planes, roller coasters and tanning beds, the Final Destination films all follow the same basic blueprint. While most of the gruesomely gory deaths on screen are the result of unforeseen circumstance and bad luck, there are some kills that were more to do with the character's own poor decision-making skills than anything that death had in store for them. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with the 10 dumbest decisions made by Final Destination characters. Number 10. The Clumsy Firefighter, Final Destination 2. Not long after they evade the gnarly traffic accident which kickstarts Death's revenge in Final Destination 2, the remaining characters find themselves in another car accident. Nobody dies in this incident, but Eugene is left injured while Kat's leg is pinned by a log. Characteristically impatient, Kat sarcastically snaps at a firefighter to be quieter while he attempts to rescue her. In an unprofessional and ill-conceived move, he violently thrusts the jaws of life into the car out of spite, and as a result of his poor decision, the car's airbag is deployed, which pushes Kat's head into a sharp pole sticking through the headrest. Kat's lit cigarette then falls from her hand and ignites a trail of gasoline leading to a news van. The vehicle subsequently explodes, sending a segment of barbed wire fence careening through the air and slicing through Rory, neatly cutting him in 3 pieces. A firefighter's job is supposed to be to rescue people, right? But this rescuer's careless actions led to the death of 2 characters just because he couldn't keep his cool while doing his job. Number 9. Stealing from a dead colleague, Final Destination 5. Out of all the sleazy womanizers who get their grisly comeuppance in this franchise, it's Final Destination 5's Isaac who's undoubtedly the most deplorable. But it's the immoral decision to steal from the desk of one of his deceased colleagues who died in the disastrous bridge collapse that has fatal consequences. The theft is a voucher for a free massage at a spa. When he arrives at the spa, he's horribly unpleasant to the staff, he makes inappropriate advances towards the receptionist, he refuses to turn off his phone as instructed, and he's needlessly rude to his massage therapist. After receiving some karma in the form of an aggressive massage with acupuncture needles, disaster strikes when a fire breaks out when Isaac's left alone. Panicked, he falls from the table, needles first, before his ringing phone, which should be off, knocks a candle from a shelf and accelerates the flames. Although the blaze doesn't kill him, Isaac's life is swiftly snuffed out when a falling Buddha statue crashes onto his head. This death was the least that Isaac deserved, let's be honest. Number 8. Being a racist, the Final Destination. There are plenty of unlikable characters within each entry of this series, but nobody in all 5 films is as loathsome as Carter Daniels from the 4th installment, The Final Destination. A hateful and bigoted man, Carter is a tow truck driver who blames Black Speedway guard George for his wife's death during the catastrophic racetrack accident. Rather than dealing with his grief in a healthy way, his chosen method is to drink copious amounts of alcohol and drive to George's house in the middle of the night and attempt to burn a cross in his garden. Well, the racist man gets a fitting death that's as cruel as it is ironic. As War's Why Can't We Be Friends plays on his truck's radio, the hook from the vehicle catches a drunken Carter by the leg and drags him down the street as the gasoline he was planning to use to burn the cross spills onto the road. The resulting friction sets Carter on fire before the truck explodes when the flames eventually reach it. This was a dumb way for a very dumb character to die. Number 7. Leaving their patient unattended, Final Destination 5. Health professionals in the Final Destination series have a habit of leaving their patients unattended, but it's Dr. Leonetti's negligence in Final Destination 5 which makes this list. When a terrified Olivia arrives for what should be a straightforward procedure to have laser eye surgery, the not-so-good doctor leaves their anxious patient strapped to the machinery while he exits the room to check the data on his file. During this period of extended absence, a misplaced cup of water is knocked off a water cooler and shorts out the machine's electronics. The laser is powered on and subsequently burns through the helpless patient's eye and hand as she struggles to free herself from the contraption. The doctor only realizes what's going on after Olivia manages to escape the machine, then watch her trip and fall from a window to splatter on the ground below. Now, had Dr. Leonetti been more considerate, Olivia wouldn't have endured that excruciating torture. Number 6. Reckless driving, Final Destination. Normally, in this franchise, a character's death comes at the cost of their own negligent actions, but for the case of Billy in the first film, his gruesome demise is directly caused by the foolish actions of someone else. While the remaining survivors drive through town in Carter's car as Alex explains how he thinks they can thwart Death's plan, Carter panics. Determined to prove that he's in control of his own destiny, the teenager puts on a hyperbolic display of reckless driving. He parks his car on train tracks as a locomotive hurtles towards them. Now the others manage to escape the car, with Alex also managing to pull Carter out seconds before the train collides with the vehicle. Just as it looks like the group have evaded death again, a piece of scrap metal from the wreckage is launched from underneath the train and decapitates Billy as he tells Carter that he'll be staying as far away from him as possible. If Carter had just kept his head, Billy would still have his. Number 5. Turning up the heat, Final Destination 3. One of the most shocking deaths in the franchise is Ashley and Ashlyn's fiery finale from the third entry. Now, had they just listened to simple instructions, both teenagers could have survived another day. Against the advice of a tanning salon owner, they take a drink into the tanning room and also lock the door. Their next mistake was deciding to increase the room's temperature before stepping into the tanning beds and singing along to Ohio Players' Love Roller Coaster. Thanks to their combination of misjudged errors, the extra heat in the room causes the condensation from the drink to drip onto the circuit breaker, which shorts out the electronics. The temperature in the beds increases, while other unfortunate accidents cause the pair to be trapped inside. The bed bursts into flames within minutes, incinerating the friends as they scream in agony. Like other deaths from this franchise, obeying instructions could have saved their lives. Number 4. Scaring a horse, Final Destination 3. Sometimes it's just random bystanders who prove to be the dumbest people in these films, and one of the best examples of this comes from a pair of delinquent teenagers with firecrackers in Final Destination 3. With most of the roller coaster survivors now dead, the film's climax occurs during a packed town fair as Wendy races to save her sister Julie's life. What Wendy isn't aware of, though, is that the ongoing fireworks are causing a nearby horse a lot of stress, and when idiotic kids decide to torment the animal further by igniting firecrackers next to it, the horse bolts, taking the rope and stake it was tethered to with it. Terrifying an animal is never a clever idea, and here the consequences are severe. The rope gets wrapped around Julie's neck, and she's dragged to what would have been her death if she wasn't saved at the last second. However, the carnage isn't over yet. The horse bolts again after it's hitched to a flagpole, flinging the projectile through the air and impaling Julie's friend. This horror could have been avoided if two imbeciles didn't scare a horse. Number 3. Refusing to leave the theatre, the Final Destination. In horror films, it usually takes the side character until the moment they witness the threat with their own eyes before they're willing to believe whatever far-fetched terror is happening to them. It's understandable then why most survivors across this franchise are unwilling to accept that death is coming after them until they're one of the last ones standing. It's therefore baffling that Janet from the Final Destination refuses to heed Nick's warning that she and Laurie are in imminent danger while at the cinema. While Laurie wisely leaves the theatre with Nick, Janet adamantly stays in her seat, protesting that she's exactly where she's supposed to be. Right, well, by this point in the film, 6 people have already died, and Janet herself has already had a close brush with death in a car wash. Her choosing to ignore this new warning is nothing more than stubborn stupidity. She pays for this mistake moments later when flammable tanks behind the screen explode and she gets impaled by debris. While this entire sequence is revealed to be another of Nick's premonitions, Janet would have nevertheless met this fantastically dumb demise if Nick didn't intervene to stop the explosion from happening. Number 2. Throwing spaghetti out the window, Final Destination 2. After winning the lottery and surviving a devastating car crash in the space of a few days, Evan Lewis would appear to be the luckiest man alive in Final Destination 2. Unfortunately for him though, he's also a massive idiot, and it's his own stupidity that becomes his eventual undoing. Upon arriving back in his cramped and filthy apartment, Evan's first stroke of idiocy is to throw out some uneaten spaghetti by quite literally tossing it out of an open window. From here, his comedy of errors only continue. He allows his microwave to continue sparking, he sticks his own hand down the garbage disposal, and he knocks over a burning pan, which consequently sets his apartment ablaze. Amazingly, he's able to pull himself free from the disposal and exit through the fire escape mere moments before the gas stove explodes. However, Evan's lucky streak runs out when his moronic decisions catch up with him. He slips on the rancid pasta that he previously discarded through his window and is subsequently impaled through the eye by the rickety ladder he escaped on. Evan's luck had to run out at some point, and it did so in spectacularly dumb fashion. Number 1. Not looking both ways. Final Destination. After narrowly surviving a plane crash in the first film, high school student Alex begins to suspect that those who were supposed to die on that plane alongside him are now being targeted by death when one of his classmates is found dead in mysterious circumstances. While explaining his theory to Clear outside a cafe, fellow survivor Carter confronts the pair with his girlfriend Terry. With Carter blaming Alex for what happened, causing tensions to run high, Terry decides she's had enough. Angrily declaring that she's not going to let the trauma control her life, she tells Carter, while stepping into the road, that he can drop dead. It's at this point that Terry is instantly splattered by a speeding bus in a hilariously ironic twist. It's one of the more shocking and unexpected deaths in the franchise, and it could have all been avoided if Terry had done what every child is taught to do and look both ways before crossing the street. This isn't the only time someone dies from this mistake either, with George likewise being mowed down in the Final Destination for not looking where he was going. And that's everything for this list. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.